Good morning. I hope everybody's warm out there. My name is Brock. I want to welcome you guys to Unity this morning. It is wonderful to see all your smiling faces, and it's just a blessing to be here today. Glad you showed up, despite the inclement weather. All right, here's some music that I wrote. You can stand up if you want. You can clap if you want. You don't have to. Like a dying choir, the whistle blows, the tracks on fire, the train explodes. I'm a sitcom star, having episodes, and the laugh track battery is getting low. Instead of trying hard, I sit at home, whining on a tired microphone. It is not inspired, who would ever know? The kids desire the undesirable, and we got it in space. Only trying to make some new mistakes. Like a dying star, you will be replaced. Every man who said he's safe. I'm a dead survivor with a broken face. You're a deep sea diver with an empty tank. We're gonna vibe as high as the going rate and tell the whole wide world how it's gonna change. That's the same old scene as all the holy saints. I'd rather die alive than to live so safe. Starting today. Okay. Thank you.
I just want to put a little bit of a plug in for Brock. He has a full name, and that name will allow you to access his music, which is available online anywhere. He is an accomplished musician, and he also loves to create and write his own work. So his full name, Brock is his first, as we know, but if you add Ford, F-O-R-D, Brock Ford, and then his middle name, Lee. This is how you can hear him online, Brockford Lee. And I don't have to say any more than that.
Thank you guys so much.
This is a side of him that I've just started to learn more about. If you haven't done so already, and good morning, Unity of Gainesville, please silence your phones out of consideration for others, but also for our connectivity issues. We love it if you would silence anything that beeps, watches, iPads, phones, please. Just put it away. And if it's on a phone, if you put it in airplane mode, it helps our AV system. Anyway, we're in for an awesome morning, and indeed we are in the right place at the right time. I'm Rupali Robinson. I'm the service leader today, and I am so grateful that all of you came out amidst this unusually, let's say cool weather we're having. And it has been, my own experience has been that I am not so much wanting to be outside, and my two female cats that I live with think that this weather is useless. So the biggest thing that has gotten out of the door is the head. That's it, the head. Okay, after that, they're done. Anyway, I'm sure you've all experienced this amazing time that we are in, and I do want to welcome my online people. We appreciate you coming faithfully to connect with us. Each of us is here for this service, having different reasons for being here. Regardless of why each of us are coming, we know that this is a place of love, a place of sharing with each other and embracing our own divinity and our wholeness. I know that the message that our Reverend Ryan will be bringing us today will hold a nugget of wisdom, and that from that, or the music that Brock plays for us, there will be within us a flame ignited in your heart, and allow it to continue to light your way in the week. Newcomers, if you are here and you are comfortable, and if you would be so kind, please raise your hand, because we delight in meeting others who are checking out this thing called unity. Ah, good. Okay, I see some hands. Reverend Ryan is offering you a rose, and our prayer chaplain, Ann Scruggs, is bringing you a packet of information. And then we move into the reason why we are here. Many of us come to this community because of the stated vision, mission, and core values that we as a community voted into existence. So I believe today I'm blessed to have AV support. If you would speak this with me. Centered in divine love and wisdom, we joyfully create a world united in positive spirituality. Our mission, through prayer, meditation, spiritual education, and service, we put God's love into action. Core values: I am spirit-led. I am love. I am generosity. I am gratitude. I am inclusivity. And now we move into recognizing that we are in a new year, and the theme of this new year is aligning with the natural rhythm of all seasons. And so the core idea is stillness. And so we're going to look, you see here, each of the, this is Reverend Ryan's structure that he created when he came on as our part-time minister last year. And so if you want to just read that also with me, just the words themselves. Stillness and vision. In the silence I see clearly. In the stillness I remember who I am. And the focus, of course, then, is to bring us into deeper reflection, setting our sacred intention, and trusting in divine order. And now I hand it off to Ryan, and he is going to move forward with the evocation.
Hey, y'all, what's up? I said, what's up? For our newcomers, this is how we do it up in here. We might as well call this a party, okay? We don't care how cold it is outside. This is how we warm up, all right? This is our moment of evocation. Can we say evocation? And as I say many, many weeks, this is just simply a reminder of what we know to be true. And so I invite you to take a cleansing breath when we sound the bowl. We sound the bowl the first time, affirming that there is only love. Let's take that in. Despite the appearance of separation, there is in fact only love. If you affirm with me, there is only love. We sound the bowl a second time, affirming that if there is only love, then who are we? We are the embodiment of love. We are the expression of love. We are the music of love. We are it. And so we sound the bowl for that reminder that we are love. Can you repeat after me? I am love. We sound the bowl a third and final time, affirming that if there is only love, and we are the expression of love, then this morning's reminder is to take who we truly are into everything we experience. Repeat after me. I take all of who I am into everything I experience. And so it is. All right, all right. Do we have any birthdays last week? Any birthdays? What? Don, what up? 21.
I was 3/4 of a century old.
All right, 3/4. Okay. You look amazing. Happy birthday. Any other birthdays? How about any anniversaries this week? Any anniversaries? Okay, okay. Any other milestones that happened this week? All right. It's still a good week, okay? We're warm. We did it, okay? We are hibernating. I'm with that. So we know we have many in our community who are moving through a healing journey. And that healing journey looks a lot of different ways. Sometimes it's our body temple. Sometimes it's estrangement from family, you name it. And then sometimes it comes in the form of grieving. And so in this space, we know that there is no finish line to loss. And so we want to wrap our arms around all those in our community who are moving through a healing journey. So in our evocation, the first thing we say is, there is only love. Period. Full stop. And then the next thing we say is, I embody love. I am love. So if that's true, then we can give it, we can receive it in its fullness. So do me a favor. I want you to rub your hands together like you're getting ready for a good meal. And I want you to extend your hands to those around you and repeat after me. We see you We know you for who you truly are. God in expression. You are loved, you are celebrated, and we wrap our arms around you on your sacred walk. So keep those hands up and kind of say, hey girl, what's up? What's going on? We got a coffee date right after service, okay? Don't forget we got snacks and coffee, right? So you don't got to go nowhere, but right in there, okay? So that moment is embodied in this candle. So this is our unity candle. And so this flame is a symbol for all of our togetherness, we call oneness. And so when one of us celebrates a birthday, we see you, Don, all of us celebrate. And when any of us are moving through a grieving journey or a healing journey, all of us are moving through that journey. And so you are loved just as you are. And so it is.
I think I'm just going to begin with a message that came to me just as I was coming up here. Paul would love to remind us all that the finished congregational directory is available to us. And if you are a person who has not yet filled out the forms for that, please just go to the table that's in the front of the church and you'll see the forms and everything you need are there. The community highlights always reflect what's already available to you, either on your website, unitygainesville.org, know of, or you get to Georgia. We know that, right? We've done that. So oddly enough, if you just go unitygainesville.org, you'll get to this community. And then that weekly e-blast that we get, the newsletter that is edited by Star, please know that she can help you also subscribe if you're not on the e-blast. That comes to us every Friday morning. Morning, yes, because I check them in the afternoon. So if you're analog-minded, there are papers, flyers, also available in the hallway as you go out to the bathrooms or in the front of our church. So either way, if you're analog-minded or if you're into the digital world fully, either way, we're trying to make sure that we communicate and reach out to you so you know what events are happening and also so you can contribute and enjoy this community fully. Today actually, after service, for about an hour, we are going to be doing our prayer clinic. And today I am the facilitator. We rotate that with our LUT Carla and then the other prayer people in the ministry. We call ourselves prayer chaplains now. This is Ryan's suggestion. And today, I just thought I would play with the idea of an open discussion, thinking about what we intend, or what we mean, or what we believe we mean when we say affirmative. It may seem that it's obvious, but in fact, when you work with it, it is not as obvious as one would think, because positive thinking is not affirmative. There's subtleties to it. So come and join us. Please know that this isn't if you wish to become a prayer chaplain. All are welcome. Attendance simply means that you're interested in understanding one of the core practices of unity that enriches and energizes our lives. So, as Ryan mentioned, this is a church that loves to party. So, on Valentine's Day, we're going to party. And it is going to be, first, bring your own lunch here at the church from noon until, there it is, noon until 2. And then, the other part of that is the ice cream social. So please think about joining us. That is a Saturday. And the one that is closest to my heart, the announcement that is closest to my heart, is what we call our annual congregational meeting. Please, 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 please save the date. The annual congregational meeting is a State of the Union meeting where you hear a message that talks about what we've accomplished in 2025, and then we invite your voice to talk about what you want to accomplish. It is, yes, quote, the business meeting, because it's where we vote on our budget for the coming year. It's where we vote on new board members for people that are voting on. And so it has that flavor of both a business meeting, but it also is a celebration of what we have accomplished and what we see that we wish to accomplish. And to entice you to stay, hopefully, we have vegetarian and meat option pizza only for like a half an hour, because we want to be on target to start at 1 and get out of here by 2. So please, please come and choose to have your voice heard. This is your community. And I can tell I've got Ryan here wanting to make another announcement that we just got today, this morning.
Thank you so much, Rupali. A couple quick announcements. Gabe, what's going on next Sunday?
So next Sunday, I'm going to do a slideshow presentation with all pictures and videos of my Indian trip. So, and that'll be right after church service, around 12:30.
I gotta do a quick plug. So we've been all like tapping Gabe about like how was India outside of this transformational health crisis that turned into a healing, right? There was also a lot of joy that came of it. So after service, Gabe is going to be sharing some beautiful images. Thank you, Gabe. Looking forward to it. Noel, can you please stand? All right, y'all. Can we say, hey, Noel? Okay, so Noel, many of you may not know, but our beloved Gio is stepping down as office administrator and is becoming a full-time member. And so Noel has just finished the application process and is officially going to become our new office administrator. We love you, Noel. So thank you, Noel. So Noel and Gio are going to be working for the next 3 weeks to get a smooth transition for both Noel and us as we migrate everything over. But if you don't know Noel, she's going to be your best friend pretty soon, okay? Thank you so much, Noel. It's amazing how it all just lines up, and then boom, here we are. Dave, please.
She already is my best friend.
All right, thank you so much. Dave said correction. Correction. All right.
Dave, we honor you as the other half of this, but you have to understand that he too has his part-time job at the museum related to Santa Fe. And so we have now 2 people that are embracing this community in a way that I just find really special. So thank you. Thank you. The inspiration today comes from one of my favorites, Eckhart Tolle, Joy of. He talks about the joy within, he talks about the joy of life, but he actually wrote a book called The Joy Within. And the quote that I'm going to use is from that text. And it's perfect Eckhart Tolle. It's like in Hinduism, it's called a sutra. It's packed. It's 2 lines, and it's just packed. The equivalent of external noise is the inner noise of thinking. The equivalent of external silence is inner stillness. So I choose, in the midst of the noise and the chaos and the world that is outpicturing around me at times, in which I find no comfort, I choose to remember who I am in the constancy of this inner stillness.
Thank you so much. Eckhart Tolle is one of my favorite spiritual teachers. And what he says is, if you want to know about the majesty of the universe, simply look at a flower. Look at a flower. Because a flower has no utility as we see it. And so what we see is actually the manifestation of something greater. And so with that, Reverend Carla Palmer, can you please step forward? Yes. So flowers. So stand here for me, Carla. Okay. I didn't tell her anything. So y'all know we have like a couple of different things that we try to do just to celebrate all of us, because so much work goes into making this nonprofit work. And so if you go anywhere, there's a full-time staff, there's marketing teams, there are full organizational structures that keep it going, and people are paid. What makes a spiritual community different is that everybody is coming into the space with an open heart, volunteering. Okay? Period. And Carla, I wanted to just recognize you today because for years, Carla has been, as many of us, but Carla especially has been a pillar in this place and has served every possible pocket that needed to be filled. And last week, we welcomed our new members. And what I forgot to mention is how important the facilitator of that space is. Because in that room, you have people who are eager to learn, what's all this about? So, okay, there's love. What's the punchline, right? What's underneath of that? And then to hear, no, it's actually just love. And so, Carla, these flowers, as Eckhart Tolle tells us, is simply a reminder of the majesty of the universe and the majesty of the love that you embody. We love you and we appreciate you.
You know what happens with a teacher? You have a mic nearby. Here you go. But I just want to thank everybody that's here, and I want you to know how thrilling it is to teach about unity, because I think it's the hottest thing on the planet. You know? So, yeah. And I don't mind if people call me a unitic. Okay, but it's thank you so much. I'm without words. So
We love you. Thank you, Carla. Thank you. So we're going to move into prayer. And if it's your practice, I want you just to allow the seat to support you as it already has. And I want you to open your hands and palms up, and we're going to just simply breathe. And so here in Unity and in many other spiritual communities who call themselves New Thought, the way we pray is actually to affirm the truth that is. And so this is our prayer. In this divine moment, we affirm that this community, this place, and everybody under its roof is the embodiment and expression of love, as is every single person on this planet. We affirm the truth that there is a divine unfolding happening and expressing itself, even against all odds of appearance. And that in this space, we hold the high watch. We hold each other accountable. We hold ourselves in thought, mind, body, and spirit to the highest degree of love, because it is from that place we embody and enjoy all that this life has to give. And as we move through this day, those nearest and dearest to us who are in most need of love, we see them raptured in the highest expression of goodness, right where they are. And we see them as whole here and now, no matter what their condition, no matter what they may be encountering in this moment. We see them as the highest expression of love. We affirm this truth in all things and in ourselves by saying, and so it is. It is done. Ashe, so be it. Amen.
This is my second time playing for you guys here, and the first time I came up and I said, I'm going to play a song for you I wrote this morning. And what I meant was this morning I'm going to play for you a song I wrote. So I figured to make up for that, I wasn't exactly sure what to play this time, and I'd listened to a lot of songs, and on Thursday I just wrote one instead. So that's this, and we'll see how it goes. It's brand new, so yeah, here we go. If you should wonder, be not afraid. There's still a sun on the uglier days. You'll stay afloat when you're tossed in the waves. Won't pull you under, it's washing it all away. When the walls close in, draw me closer again. Seek and you'll find a sign in silence calling you. I am inside your heart. How great thou art. If you should wind up lost in the cold, there's still a fire in the heights of your soul. Yeah. Sorry, let me try that again. I told you it was a new one. Thank you. If you should wind up out in the cold, there's still a fire alive in your soul. You're not abandoned, no, you're not alone. When we get lost, there's a signal that calls us home. When the door closes, draw me closer again. There's a voice divinely guided, calling you. I am inside your heart. How great thou art. I am inside your heart. How great thou art. Very good. When the walls close in, drawing closer again, deeply inside, a cry in silence, calling you. I am calling you. I am calling you. I am.
Yes. All right. Yes. Listen, we love us some Brock, okay? Okay, so if you're joining us for the first time, Brock has a tremendous story. And so how he landed at Gainesville is just divine. Brock is on a waiting list for a transplant. And the journey has been a journey. And somehow you landed at Gainesville. And was it 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago that I texted you and said, "Can you please come play?"
I think it was that 2 weeks ago?
It was
3
2 weeks.
ago?
I think it was 2 weeks ago. A couple weeks ago, it was about 8:30 in the morning, and I remember Brock saying that he played the guitar, and I said, "Okay, Brock, I know it's early, service is in an hour, but just bring a guitar and just do some instrumentals. Just it'll be fine." And Brock whipped out a full concert. Okay, right? And so after service, I was like, "Brock, are you serious?" And so, yeah, so Brock is a staple officially, okay? Thank you so much, Brock. Thank you. Thank you. So we're doing good this morning, y'all. We are officially in the warmth, okay? And just know that we only experience the pinch of that cold briefly. And so guess what? That's what our talk is about. You got me? All right, we're trying to get this sound.
When it's off, it's working.
That's the tuner. I don't want to take that off.
Okay, so that's nothing to do with this.
Yeah, Gabe, let's troubleshoot that after service. Thank you so much. Gabe is getting this together, okay? Gabe said, "Listen, we're going to work this out." So the anchor for our talk today is actually how brief the sting is. How brief the sting is. So in this morning, we have an opportunity to experience the heat, right? And for those of us who came first thing in the morning, we know that the warmth kind of concentrated here, but it didn't quite reach the gathering room yet. And so if you were in the gathering room, you were still bundled up, right? You had layers on. In fact, my feet were cold just out there, and I had to come in here to thaw out. So how is it possible that in one space, we have different degrees? This is one big roof, but we have different experiences. Now, the truth is, if you look at the thermostat, they weren't that much off. The thermostat in this room, granted, we have two different systems, but the heat was still operating in that space, but we didn't feel it. It was still moving. It was still working perfectly fine, but we didn't feel it. Here, we feel it. So we know it exists. We know it's working. We are in a moment in our community, in our country, on our planet, where it feels like, one, who are these people? Right? That might be one thought you have. The other one that is pretty common is the powerlessness we often feel, especially when we're inundated constantly. And so we have, dare I say, the luxury of looking on a device to scroll. We call it doom scrolling now. Doom scroll, you got it, right? We have the luxury to doom scroll, and our mind is racing, and we get lower and more contracted into this state of powerlessness. Now, the truth is, that doesn't have to be our experience. We can be in the same community, we can be in the same country and in the same planet and have a completely different experience. The truth is, it is up to us to determine the kind of experience that we desire. Now, that's the hard part. Because how does one move in a world where you're inundated with what feels like chaos and somehow retain a sense of calm and peace and joy? Y'all do me a favor. Look around the room. Just look around the room. There's some folk behind you. Go ahead and try to check them out. All right? All right? Just look at them real quick. Y'all see me, okay? In our evocation, our affirmation is there is only love. And so who are we? We are the expression of love. And so if we take that for the fact that I believe it is, the truth with a capital T, we are the embodiment of love. We are the articulation of love. In the old unity days, it would be we are the arms and feet of God. We are love. Now, I don't know about y'all, but love doesn't just express itself in one way. Love can tell you to sit down and be quiet. Love says, you need more water. Love says, that's enough. Right? If you got kids, you know what I'm talking about. Enough. Love can also be something that's warm and holds you, that feels like the butterflies. Love has a full spectrum of expression. And so when you look around, what you are seeing are different embodiments of love. Is that fair? And so none of us, as diverse as we are in this space, culturally, ethnically, and in our spiritual systems, that is as diverse as love shows up. So love doesn't just mean we're going to hold hands and sing Kumbaya. There's a moment for that. Yes, it is. Love also means we're going to speak truth to power. Love also means even in our small circles, we're not going to try to convince somebody because we think they're wrong, but we're going to actually open our heart to hear this perspective. And then in our openness, we give them permission to do the same. And then they are open to hear this other perspective. But again, it starts with us. Because if we go with our arms raised and our fists clenched, I don't know about you, but I can't hear nothing. I'm ready to fight. If a blow is headed my way, guess what's coming to meet you? Another blow. But if an open heart and open hands is what we are met with, then we respond in kind. So, it is absolutely possible for us in this space to be under the same roof and to have a different experience. For us in this room to be comfortable, and in the gathering room a little while ago to be ice cold. In the same space, it is possible for us to be in this moment with all that feels like chaos and have a different experience because we choose. All right, y'all, so I'm gonna go back. For some of us, when we hear the word Bible, we clench, okay? Although some of us, when we hear the word Bible, we say, yes, finally, Reverend Ryan. Let's get some Bible in here, right? Wherever you are in the spectrum in terms of Bible, I want to do a little bit of history. So when we say the Christian Bible, we're talking about a very particular book versus the Hebrew Bible or the Hebrew scriptures. That's a particular book, right? And we know that there are three major religions that unify this planet: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, right? Billions of people. So these people use different texts that are based on a few foundational scriptures. In the Christian faith, it is a Christian Bible that calls it the Old Testament and the New Testament. Now, for some of us, this may be new information. Did you know that the Old Testament, the framing of Old Testament is loaded with controversy? And when you say the Old Testament, it actually paints the imagery that the Hebrew scriptures are outdated and in need of revision and are wrong. Does that make sense? So when we say, oh yeah, the Old Testament, we just got to be clear, we're talking about the Old Testament in the Christian Bible. Does that make sense? Versus if we're talking to somebody of a Jewish faith, we might say Hebrew scriptures or the Hebrew Bible. Does that make sense? Students often have a Jewish study Bible. And so the word Bible has been co-opted to look like a certain thing for a particular denomination. Does that make sense? Like Kleenex. You got, I love that. Yes, Rupali, right? So it's not a tissue, it's Kleenex, right? Right? And we could go on and on, right? It's not toothpaste, it's Colgate, right? You got your Crest? I mean, listen, I'm not selling nobody's toothpaste, but you got the idea. And so within the framing of how we talk about the scriptures, it's important that we are open-hearted with the very language that we use. Okay. So there's just clarity around the Quran, which is the holy text for Islam, the Christian Bible, which has the Old Testament and New Testament, and the Hebrew scriptures, also called the Hebrew Bible, right? So those different denominations and traditions use the foundational text, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Deuteronomy, Numbers, on and on and on, right? 24 books. In the Christian faith, there is what's called typology. And what that means is when the Christian faith was codified, in order to make the Old Testament and New Testament feel like it's one book, certain things were modified, right? So we can create a clear narrative between Genesis and Revelations. In the Hebrew scriptures, the attempt is to keep it as it was because tradition is what unifies this form. Okay, here's my point. Regardless of where one stands in terms of how one views these scriptures, the reality is the Bible, the Hebrew scriptures, we got some challenges. One, because the Bible nor the Hebrew scriptures calls itself a holy text. This is truth. we, in our own interpretation, have decided and have called it holy. So, this might sound new, and for some of us, it's like, oh, yeah, duh. What that means is our connection to the Bible, for those of us who grew up Christian and still are, our connection to the Bible, our understanding of it and interpretation of it is actually not based solely on what the text does. Does that make sense? Because the Bible itself is actually an attempt to catalog various experiences. I'll tell you what I mean. In the mid-1950s, in the middle of the 20th century, do y'all remember hearing about the Dead Sea Scrolls? It was huge. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, in the mid-20th century, in what they thought was a holy temple, but actually ended up being a bookstore, right? In the Middle East, they found in this bookstore the most intact version of the book of Isaiah and remnants of every other book from Hebrew scriptures. Now, this translation was from 900 BCE. So 900. The earliest one was about 400 CE. You got me? So in other words, there is a 1,400-year distance from before 1950s. The earliest text you had was BC, right? And then there's this revelation that, oh, here is an intact version of the book of Isaiah and fragments of every other book from the Hebrew scriptures. And so what we're able to do finally is to see, okay, what does this translation look like versus the earliest translations? And guess what you find? Although there are literally hundreds of thousands of variations, the stories are virtually the same. Because what the Bible is doing, this is both Hebrew Bible and the Christian Bible, what the Bible is doing is actually a catalog of the evolution of human consciousness. Here's what I mean. In the book of Exodus, so Exodus is all about fleeing slavery, going to the promised land. In the book of Exodus, if y'all remember your Sunday school, Moses throws down his staff and it becomes a what? A snake. And then God says, pick it up by his tail, and he picks up the snake and it becomes a staff. That was one of the signs that Moses was to give to Pharaoh. That magical realism is no different than the animism and magic that is perpetual in other spiritual systems. Does that make sense? So Moses doing these miracles is actually a story that's been passed down throughout the millennium. And the writers of these different books, because the Bible, although it's like we think of it as one continuous text, is actually many, many writers. I want y'all to think about the Bible as an archive that has many different writers. So if we go into this library, our beautiful metaphysical library, if we go into that library, it's going to be housed with a bunch of different books, with a lot of different authors who have a lot of different perspectives, and their experience is going to inform what they're writing about. Does that make sense, y'all? And so the Bible, we call the books of the Bible because each one is written by a different person. Isaiah, for example, is written by 4 different priests. But when we look at the book of Isaiah, we might say, oh, Isaiah is saying this. Actually, it's several priests because when you look at the text, it's actually doing different things. One is a call to the people. Another one is really a census. And the other one is an attempt to codify law in one book. So here's my point. Our connection to the Bible, the Christian Bible, and our discomfort sometimes that we might have is really connected to something that has nothing to do with that text, but how we were raised, how we were taught. I grew up in a fundamentalist, literal Christian church, which meant the Bible is the Word of God. And if it's in there, that is ours to do. So what that meant was women weren't allowed to wear pants. A pig was filthy, so it was unclean. So was crustacean. On and on and on. Now, there were certain things that were isolated as practices we would continue, but then there are other practices in the book of Deuteronomy that says when a woman has her menstrual, she's to be excommunicated from the camp. Stuff like that is like, well, yeah, that's olden time, but these other ones we'll keep, right? Now, in all fairness, I believe that they were doing the best they could. In an attempt to see this book as the Word of God, we're going to honor this as it is. Of course, they would say, well, maybe this is outdated, but this one we can still apply. Maybe this one doesn't make sense, but yeah, women shouldn't be priests or ministers or pastors, right? How about this one? Yes, obey your husband, right? So there is, I think, a legitimate attempt to try to parse out what is still applicable. But guess what, y'all? That is a person applying their views and perspective on a neutral text, right? Now, if we take this text, whether it's the Hebrew Scriptures or the Christian Bible, if we take it as the Word of God, and again, the Bible does not call itself that. We and our denominations have done that. But if we take it as the Word of God, we got some real work to do. For real. There are stuff in there that we got to try to wrap our minds around and make sense. One example is let there be light, but light, the sun was created 4 days later. Like, so if there's light and you said let there be light, but the sun wasn't there, was it just like a pseudo light and then the sun shows up? Like, for example, one of the questions I had was, what about dinosaurs? Dinosaurs. It's not in the Bible. And the pastor would say, well, we got to wait till we get to heaven. There are some answers that we just don't have. And I'm like, okay, I guess that makes sense. Because what's required of us is a blind faith. And y'all, I'm not here proselytizing. I know Reverend Ryan, it sounds like, oh, what he about to say, right? What are you going to say today? My job is not to change any minds. My job is to open hearts. And so my offering this morning is how we frame what is considered holy text is actually connected to our experience. So there was a long time where I just was like, you know what? New thought, sign me up. Seeing the Bible metaphysically, sign me up. I'm okay with that. But if it has anything to do with the other stuff, the Bible thumping, the sin, you going to hell if you do this, I'm running from it. And so what I've come to learn, actually, the foundation of unity, is that the Bible is simply an articulation of the evolution of human consciousness. Because, like I said, there was a time when God manifested in the form of magic. So Moses throwing his staff and it becoming a serpent, that's magic, right? The laws of nature can't create that. But faith says, if you believe, it's possible. So one surrenders their intellectual capacity for a blind faith. This morning's offering is simply, what does it mean if we open our heart and acknowledge that while we may be in the same community, in the same country, in the same world, we are having different experiences. We're having different experiences. Now, this morning, we are also being reminded of what love looks like. Love is not simply a pat on the back and somebody giving you a much needed hug. Love also says, I'm going to be here for you through this difficult time, and I'm going to hold you accountable because you said this and you didn't do it. That's what love looks like. Love is the nature, the force, the principle that binds all things. Unity's co-founder, Charles Fillmore, toward the middle of his practice, people were saying, listen, you need to be ordained. He didn't want to be ordained. He didn't want to call Unity a denomination. He wanted people to be able to come together, meditate, learn some affirmative prayer, and come as you are. But in order to be legitimized by the larger community, the first thing one had to do was to call themselves a denomination. Did you know? This is up until the 1970s. Mormons in the very community that Unity was founded could be shot on sight. That law was in the books until the 1970s. Anyone could shoot and kill a Mormon on sight. That law was in the books until the 70s. Of course, nobody was doing it. We hope. In the very communities, and granted, this is like Bible thumping, Bible belt. You got a bunch of people saying, let's look at the Bible metaphysically. That's not legible. What is legible is fire and brimstone. And people who love Charles Fillmore are saying, listen, brother, you got to figure something out. I like this school that you're doing, but in order to be legitimized by the state and those around you, this has to be legible. And so to make this spiritual community legible, we called ourselves Practical Christianity. And so if you look at some of the foundational Unity teachings, it is very much metaphysical. What that means is we can look at the book of Exodus and we can see Noah, for example, as symbolizing something, and the ark as symbolizing something, and as the animals going into the ark as symbolizing something. That's called metaphor. That's metaphysics, right? What we now do, almost 100 years later, is actually a Socratic method. What we do is we look at these teachings and see how they apply to us, where we are, in this moment. How does the ark represent in our life? Does it represent pride? Does it represent our inability to see each other as whole? Does that make sense, y'all? So in Unity itself is an evolution toward a broader understanding of what God is. Now, the reminder is, in order to be legible, it had to look a certain way. In order for our resistance to this moment, in order for it to be legible, it has to look a certain way. You either got to protest, you got to be the loudest one in the room. If you're on social media, make sure you're using it to say something. Dissent has to look a certain way. Otherwise, you're complacent. The argument I'm making this morning is that we all show up and embody love differently. And our response to the world around us will look different. And guess what? That's okay. Some of us may choose to completely turn the news off and say, you know what? I'm not dealing with it. Somebody says, how's it going? I'm doing great. Other of us may want to be deeply connected to the nuance of development. And that's okay. because that's your contribution. But how we show up and how we respond to this moment requires one thing, and that's for us to know who we truly are, and that is love. How does love show up in the midst of this moment? How does love show up in the midst of these circumstances? How does love show up when those around me who are most vulnerable are being targeted? How does love show up? And it's going to express itself differently. No longer do we have to look a certain way to be legible. No longer, as people, do we have to look a certain way for people to know you are a supportive person or an ally. No longer do we have to contort and twist how we show up on the planet for us to be seen as someone safe. No more. But what is required of us is that when we show up knowing who we truly are in all of what we experience. Quick story. The other day, I was walking through campus, and I overheard a student talking to his friend. And she was asking why he did stuff at the last minute. And he was like, I want to enjoy my whole day. And he said, when I wait till the last minute, that means I'm filling my day. His logic was, by waiting till the very last minute, he's able to experience the full day. So he could do some procrastinating, and then finally, all the way down to the deadline, then he'll ratchet it up and get the assignment done. He had a full day. And I said, my brother, that's some serious logic, okay? That is some logic. And guess what, y'all? For him, that's a full day. For some of us, the thought of procrastinating like that just gives us the heebie-jeebies, all right? The thought of waiting for something to stack up and you wait to the last minute. I mean, some of us, we procrastinate, right? But that's on another level. This student I'm talking about was on another level, okay? But guess what? He gets to show up in this planet, in the world, and experience exactly as he wants. Somebody said, of course he does. All right, I'm with you. And guess what? It's working for him, and I gotta be honest, even when he's stressed and he like balls up and said, I can't believe I did this to myself again, guess what? He wanted it. He's experiencing exactly what he wanted. Now, he might not say out loud, I want to be stressed out at the very end, or I didn't get any sleep and so now I got the flu, or whatever the thing is, right? He's not going to say, I wanted that to happen. But the truth is, he did want it. Because our desire extends past language. We know how somebody feels, and they don't even got to say they're fine. How are you? I'm good. You're not good. We knew you weren't good when you said I was good. So language is not even necessary sometimes. Our desire actually articulates what we're experiencing. And so that student who says, I want to have my day filled to the very end, he's experiencing exactly what he desires. Is it okay? Yeah, y'all. I mean, we can judge it. I mean, we can judge it. We can try to course correct it, but the brother is doing what he wants to do. Now, what does that mean in a more extreme circumstance? What does that mean in a more extreme iteration? We got to see it. We got to know that all those parties involved, the way this divinity thing works, for the good of everyone involved. Because we are a part of a grand unfolding. All of us. We call oneness and consciousness and love. We're all a part of it. We're all it. Do me a favor. We're coming to a close. I want you to just simply put your hands over your heart. Your heart is in a process of pumping and contracting. Pumping and contracting without our conscious thoughts. Y'all look at me, please. This is happening without our conscious thoughts. We are experiencing contraction. Our planet, our community, our nation. And what does a heart do? It keeps beating. Can we breathe that in? There is a perpetual expansion and contracting and a spiraling towards something greater. The moment that we are experiencing, no matter where we are in this moment, financial difficulties, estrangement from families, health crises, loved ones, no matter what's going on, war-torn countries, communities in deep desperation, needing to be seen, no matter what condition we can call, all of us are on a perpetual movement toward expansion and contraction. And when that heart contracts, what's happening, y'all? We're getting more blood, more life, more power, more presence. And when we pulse, we send it out. We send out that love. We send out that life. We send out that hope. If we remember who we truly are, we can take all of who we experience and embody into every single interaction. We got that? And so it is. I'm inviting you to close your outer eye. And as we breathe, I want you to send your concentration to your heart. And you might not be able to feel its full articulation, but in your consciousness, you know it exists. You know it is at work. In the same way, that unfolding presence, that source of all that is good, is at work. Now, without our conscious thought. How wonderful that is. As you breathe, I want you to allow that breath to go all the way through your body. And we are knowing this morning that all is well. Love shows up and is articulated in a lot of different ways. And however we respond to this moment is perfectly fine. And that we too, as our elders and ancestors were, on a perpetual unfolding of a higher consciousness, here and now. It is done. It is so. So be it. We're going to shift our gears into our giving. And I'm asking you to take this sense of clarity, this sense of openness, this sense of all of who we are into our gift. And I want to say, on behalf of the light bill, thank you for all you donate to us. And the heat bill, thank you for your donations. They keep us going. Repeat after me. Divine love expressed in me and through me blesses all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is.
Be thou my vision, O Lord of my heart. Not be all else to me, save that thou art. Thou my best thought by day or by night. Waking or sleeping, thy presence my light. Riches I heed not, nor man's empty praise. Thou mine inheritance, now and always. Thou and thou only, first in my heart. High King of heaven, my treasure thou art.
Thank you, Brock. We got the kiddos coming in.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Good morning, Frosty and all. Well, today we started February, and our power is love, and we were talking about love, and I had a story for him called Mean Soup. And Horace was a little boy who had a terrible day. Some girl at school gave him a love note. Just, he didn't know the answer to 3 questions. Just everything went wrong. And then his mother sent Miss Pearl to pick him up from school. And she almost hit 3 poodles on the way home. And so he went in and Mom said, "How was your day?" And so she said, "I know just what we can do. We can make soup." She put on a pot of boiling of water, and when it started to get hot, she threw some salt in, and it started boiling. And then she screamed into that pot. And she told Horace, come on. And he screamed into that pot. And then he growled into that soup. And finally they started laughing. And from then on, when Horace had a terrible, horrible day, they made mean soup.
All right. Thank you, Miss Gwen. All right. Can we stand if we're able? And we're going to bless our kiddos in front of us, our nieces and nephews and grandkids near and far. And we're going to rub our hands together and repeat after me. Actually, we can read it together. Children, you are perfect just the way you are. The divine, magnificent outpicturing of Source. Everything you desire is yours because you and God are one. All right, y'all, let's circle up. Gary, can you start us off? The light of God surrounds us. We are light. The love of God enfolds us. We are love. The power of God protects us. We are power, and the presence of God watches over us. We are presence. Wherever we are, God is, because we are divine, and all is well. All right, y'all, one last thing. If we could look at the camera and just wave at our loved ones who are unable to be here. You are whole, and we can't wait to wrap our arms around you. All right, y'all, have a good week.